Eratosthenes proves nothing. By Thomas Perez. In the city of Alexandria, located in Egypt, there once lived a man named Eratosthenes, 276 BC, 194 BC. Eratosthenes was an astronomer, historian, geographer, mathematician, and philosopher. It is also said that one day, while holding the position of head and director at the Great Library of Alexandria, Eratosthenes read in a papyrus book that at noon, the sun in southern Syene on the summer solstice of June 21, vertical poles and her large temple columns cast no shadows. He also read that during this time, the reflection of the sun can be seen at the bottom of a deep well, hence the sun directly overhead in Syene. He then also read that at the same time vertical poles and temple columns in Alexandria produced shadows that can be seen. After reading this, he wanted to know why. Using his inquisitive mind, he planted a stick on June 21 to see if the sun would cast a shadow in Alexandria. It did. He also found out that the shadow that was cast measured 7 degrees. From this observation, he concluded that the earth was curved. No doubt, predecessors like Pythagoras, 570 BC, 95 BC, and Aristotle, 384 BC, 322 BC, who floated the idea of a spherical earth, more than likely influenced Eratosthenes. But yet he wanted to make sure for himself. So, since the shadow between Alexandria and Syene was 7 degrees apart on the Earth's 360 degrees surface, he decided to hire a man to literally walk from Alexandria to Syene, which turned out to be 5,000 stadia apart, 800 kilometers per 500 miles, in order to find out why there was a discrepancy of shadow castings in Syene and Alexandria at 12 noon. Using simple proportions, he concluded that 7.2 degrees over 360 degrees equals 800 kilometers over an unknown number. 7.2 degrees is 1/50th of 360 degrees. 800 kilometers x 50 equals 40,000 kilometers. The unknown number was solved for the size and circumference of the Earth. The Earth is supposedly 40,075 kilometers. Since there are 360 degrees in a circle, 7.2 degrees is 1/50th of an entire circle. So, the span between Syene and Alexandria corresponds to 1/50th of the way, all the way around the Earth. According to mainstream, Eratosthenes was only off by 75 kilometers. He also concluded that the greater the curvature, the greater the length of the shadow. He believed the sun, being so far away when shining, will always cast rays parallel to the Earth. Parallel rays are said to cast shadows at different lengths when placed at different angles. After discovering the discrepancy of shadow lengths, Eratosthenes concluded that the Earth was curved. Although many people of that time still believed that the Earth was flat, there were some that jumped on the bandwagon of Eratosthenes' findings. Eratosthenes' findings still permeate mainstream scientific books, educational institutions, and even various television programs today. In the 1980s, a television program aired its way into our living rooms, hearts, and minds. The name of that particular program was called Cosmos. Cosmos was written and narrated, while on screen, by the late Carl Sagan. Sagan was an astronomer, planetary scientist, cosmologist, astrophysicist, astrobiologist, science communicator, author, and professor. But this does not exclude him from multiple errors. The following video clip is from Sagan's Cosmos television series. It is from episode 1. The series itself had 13 episodes. In the clip, Sagan goes to great lengths to validate the findings and conclusions of Eratosthenes. Now, remember, many globe-round Earth believers will often use this clip and the findings of Eratosthenes to prove the rotundity of the Earth, but this is an error on their part, as we will soon find out after viewing Sagan's Cosmos video clip. And now, let's go to the videotape.
Here's a map of ancient Egypt. I've inserted 2 sticks or obelisks, one up here in Alexandria and one down here in Syene. Now, if at a certain moment each stick casts no shadow at all, that's perfectly easy to understand, provided the Earth is flat. If the shadow at Syene is at a certain length, and the shadow at Alexandria is the same length, that also makes sense on a flat Earth. But how could it be, Eratosthenes asked, that at the same instant there was no shadow at Syene and a very substantial shadow at Alexandria? The only answer was that the surface of the Earth is curved. Not only that, but the greater the curvature, the bigger the difference in the lengths of the shadows. The sun is so far away that its rays are parallel when they reach the Earth. Sticks at different angles to the sun's rays will cast shadows at different lengths. For the observed difference in the shadow lengths, the distance between Alexandria and Syene had to be about 7 degrees along the surface of the Earth. By that I mean, if you imagine these sticks extending all the way down to the center of the Earth, they would there intersect at an angle of about 7 degrees. Well, 7 degrees is something like a 50th of the full circumference of the Earth, 360 degrees. Eratosthenes knew the distance between Alexandria and Syene. He knew it was 800 kilometers. Why? Because he hired a man to pace out the entire distance so that he could perform the calculation I'm talking about. Now, 800 kilometers times 50 is 40,000 kilometers. So that must be the circumference of the Earth. That's how far it is to go once around the Earth. That's the right answer. Eratosthenes' only tools were sticks, eyes, feet, and brains, plus a zest for experiment.
Did you catch that? The key to Sagan's and Eratosthenes' conclusions are based upon a sun that is millions of miles away. Where did Eratosthenes get his presupposition from concerning the distance between the Earth and the Sun? The answer is, he got it from Aristarchus of Samos, circa 310-230 BC. This would place Eratosthenes at the age of 46 when Aristarchus died. No doubt, it was the likes of Aristarchus that influenced the mind of Eratosthenes to conclude that the Sun was not local, but far away. Aristarchus of Samos estimated the distance to the Sun to be about 20 times the distance to the Moon, whereas the true ratio is about 390. His estimate was based on the angle between the half-moon and the Sun, which he calculated to be 87 degrees. According to Eusebius of Caesarea in the Preparatio Evangelica, Eratosthenes found the distance to the Sun to be literally of stadia myriads 480,000. The latter measurement becoming the foundational groundwork for the AU, or as it is called, the astronomical unit. The problem with this foundation is that it is founded upon stadia. The stadia, believe it or not, is based upon ancient Greek athletic stadiums. The stadion in Greek, Latin, stadium, formerly also anglicized as stade, was an ancient Greek unit of length, based on the length of a typical sports stadium of the time. According to Herodotus, one stadion was equal to 600 Greek feet, pods. However, the length of the foot varied in different parts of the Greek world, and the length of the stadion has been the subject of argument and hypothesis for hundreds of years. Various hypothetical equivalent lengths have been proposed, and some have been named. Moreover, according to Newland, which measure of the stadion is used can affect the interpretation of ancient texts. For example, the error in the calculation of the Earth's circumference by Eratosthenes or Posidonius is dependent on which stade is chosen to be appropriate. If you divide the circumference of the Earth 40 million meters between 216,000, 60 degrees x 60 minutes x 60 seconds, the result is the measure of a stadium, 185 meters. Moreover, the numerical 360 degrees is somewhat elusive. It is like trying to grab water. Since 360 degrees is 180 degrees twice, and since pi symbol radians is 3.14 of 180 degrees twice, 360 degrees, pi and their numbers are irrational, but workable. Meaning that in decimal form, pi never ends, like 0.999, nor does it become repetitive, like 1/3 equals 0.333. Pi is fixed, but yet never ending. As of 2019, Google confirmed it was able to compute pi to 31.4 trillion decimal places, setting a new Guinness World Record. The argument I am presenting here can be said for all circles. All circles, regardless of their relative sizes, will always equal 3.14. The Earth is said to be 40,075 kilometers in circumference, but this number is based upon a 360 degrees standard model for circular spheres. Its pies are infinite. Keeping an infinite pi in mind, what if we were to take a page out Eratosthenes' assumption of a faraway sun and shrink it down to a small local heated light source orbiting a much larger Earth, like we see with our naked eye? What if we were to reject the coincidences that during a solar or lunar eclipse, the sun and moon appear to be the same size due to their relative distances from each other as an absurdity of measurement? To reject their distances in relation to one another in favor of a small local sun and moon, both of them the same size, in which they instead orbit the face of our clock, the Earth. A much larger Earth. After all, it was the ancient Egyptians and Babylonians that gave us the face of our clock through their dividing of days in base 60 numerical values. The case for a larger Earth and its simple alternate math actually exists. Various ancient Chinese documents reveal this alternate fact. Documents and books, including the Guanzi, the Classic of Mountains and Seas, Shanhai Jing, the Springs and Autumns of Master Lu Shichuanxiu, and the Huainanzi, reveal a very different method of calculation for the dimensions of the Earth in regard to ratios and properties of similar triangles. Most people have never heard of Guanzi, Huainanzi, Lu Shichuanxiu, etc., much less their inverted calculations of a spherical Earth. A working mathematical alternative in cooperation with that of the Asian calculation can be produced, while confirming the 500-mile distance between Syene, Alexandria, Styx, temple columns and their shadows, or lack thereof. Assuming that the Earth is much larger and flat with an orbiting sun and moon, and knowing that radius is from the center of a circle to its edge while diameter is edge to edge through the radius, hence becoming twice its length, we can conclude that a 7 degrees 12 minutes makes a sweep of 1/25 of the flat Earth's total longitude from 90 degrees north to 90 degrees south, radius. Therefore, we can take the distance of 500 miles, multiply by 25, and find that the radius of the flat Earth is 12,500 miles. Doubling that figure for the diameter, we get a figure of 25,000 miles. The Earth is physically much larger, of course. A circle with a diameter of 25,000 miles across is simply the area of land which the light of an orbiting local sun affects, and represents the area of our known world. The following video demonstrates this.
There's a famous experiment conducted by Eratosthenes. Eratosthenes. And there are two cities in the old world, and one of them, they knew that at 12 noon on a particular day of the year, that the sun was directly overhead and you could see the bottom of a well.
Eratosthenes asked himself how it could be that at the same moment, a stick in Syene would cast no shadow, and a stick in Alexandria, 800 kilometers to the north, would cast a very definite shadow. The only answer was that the surface of the Earth is curved.
Well, there are two possible explanations. First, we could have a flat Earth with the sun that's small and close by, so that the light hits the second well at an angle. Or second, we could have a curved Earth with a sun that's big and far away, so that all the light comes in parallel, but only one well at a time is lit all the way to the bottom. Turns out with just two wells, there's enough wiggle room for both explanations to fit our observation. Eratosthenes only had two wells.